times, and it's the first time in any venue I've been in where I can be like, how's it sound up there? And there's people up there. I can't see them at all, but it's awesome. So, yeah, you guys having a good time so far? All right, I'm glad. That's awesome. Hey, the other day at the homeless shelter, I was there, this guy came in, and he just had that deer in the headlights look. He's like, hey man, I got something I got to tell you, but I'm afraid you might judge me. I'm like, I'm not going to judge you at all. He goes, well, I ding-dong ditched my 2-year-old on a porch yesterday. There's no end to that. That's just some fucked up shit I heard. Figured I'd share it with you. Yeah. Hey, on that note, who's ready to see your next comic? All right. This next guy has been particularly impressive. He's a really good guy. I've known him for a little while. He's been on stage less than a half a dozen times, and every single time he's done really well. He's been up in Morgantown in front of a huge capacity crowd. They loved him. I think you guys are going to love him too. So let's give it up right now for Mr. Don John.
Thank you. First off, huge thank you for our wonderful host, the oatmeal raisin cookie that you thought was chocolate chip, Tate Griffin. Really awesome of him to invite me out here tonight. Now, I've always said that Tate has reminded me of the Syrian refugees, because everybody feels bad, but nobody wants to help. No, I'm not going to stand up here and make fun of Tate all night, not just because it was really awesome of him to invite me here tonight, but also because he happens to own my favorite comic shop in the entire world, Calling All Heroes Comics, located at 50 Stately Street, Wiley Ford, West Virginia. You're welcome, Tate! So, we're still, I always love coming out to Kaiser, West Virginia. I always love coming out here just because when I was a kid, my favorite board game was always Monopoly. And I've always wondered what the brown properties on the board looked like in real life. That one went over better than I thought it would. I also love the sign that you guys have here in Kaiser, the one that says, friendliest people in America, which is either the biggest lie or the scariest truth I've ever heard. No, I'm not going to stand up here and make fun of Kaiser all night either, because it was awesome of this theater to host us, and it was awesome of you guys to pay good money to come out and see us. Now that I have you back on my side, so we're still a little fresh off the holiday season. I hope everybody had a good holiday, regardless of what your holiday of choice may be. I personally had a very righteous Ramadan. This was actually the second holiday season that I spent without my parents. They're not dead or anything, they're just assholes. So, I've only been, like Tate said, I've only been doing stand-up a couple times so far. This is actually my first time performing in front of a paying crowd. So there's a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of anxiety involved. To give you guys an idea of how nervous I am, I had actually crossed myself on my way out here tonight. And I'm an atheist. Well, it wouldn't be the first time somebody's been scared into religion. I am an atheist, though, which of course means that I worship Satan and sacrifice small children. That's just a joke, I don't actually worship Satan. But like I said, I'm still pretty new to the whole stand-up thing. I've only been doing this a few times so far. But I think it's safe to say, one of the most frustrating things that can happen to you when you are a comedian is when somebody steals your material. And I kind of had a case of that a little over a year ago, before I even started doing stand-up. You see, a couple years ago, my friend Blake and I, we had started this joke amongst our group of friends, where anytime we got called out for doing something stupid or silly or whatever, we would immediately respond with, I'm sorry, I'm gay. And this wasn't meant as like a malicious stab towards the gay community by any means. Like, I don't want you guys to think I'm like Kevin Hart or anything like that. It was just a spontaneous, bad joke between two dumb white guys. But we would use it for anything. Like, dude, we were supposed to meet up here a half hour ago. Where were you? I'm sorry, I'm gay. Man, I already called dibs on the last slice of pizza. What the hell? I'm sorry, I'm gay. The fuck, man? You slept with my girlfriend. Okay, so it didn't always work, but it was still a good go-to. But we did it all the time. People loved it. It got laughs. Fast forward to 2017. There's a bit of a scandal going on. Kevin Spacey's been accused of making sexual advances towards a 14-year-old boy in the 90s. Not cool. And Kevin Spacey's response to these allegations was, and I'm only paraphrasing slightly, his response was essentially, I'm sorry, I'm gay. And it kicked off all these internet memes and jokes, and everybody loved it. And I'm watching it all go down, and I'm getting pissed. Because not only is Kevin Spacey now creepy and gross, not only did he throw the entire gay community under the bus, but now he's biting my shit. And that's something I just don't appreciate. And the worst part of it is, I can't do anything about it. I can't call him out on it. Now I know how anybody who's ever met Carlos Mencia feels. I mean, it's Kevin fucking Spacey, critically acclaimed actor, Academy Award winner, versus me, the guy you tried to avoid in the supermarket. Fuck you, Kevin Spacey. I hate you, and I hope you get cancer. Speaking of cancer, Valentine's Day's coming up. Did you guys like that transition? Because get ready, this next story's for the romantics in the audience. So, I've never really told this story before just out of decency, but that went out the window a long time ago. I don't really feel guilty about telling this story anymore, though, just because the girl involved and I recently broke up. But I'm not gonna give her name out or anything because that would just be mean. So one night, Jessica and I were fooling around. We're fooling around, one thing leads to another, and she begins to perform what polite company referred to as fellatio on me. And it's going great, it's going swell. A little while later, we get close to the home stretch, and she decides to go all in. And by doing so, she had, to use the phrase, bit off a bit more than she could chew. Don't get ahead of me. She goes all in, and I hear, followed by a belch that sounded like a sound clip ripped straight from an episode of The Simpsons. And she pulls off and immediately vomits all over my dick. And you know what? I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here. I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit because I handled this situation much better than would be expected. Like, I'm sure the expected response would be to just freak out, leave, and never return. But in all honesty, if anything, I was comforting her. She was way more traumatized about it than I was. And me being the eternal optimist, I'm already finding the silver lining in this story. Yes, there is a bright side. As I'm cleaning myself off, I'm just thinking to myself, you know, if this girl and I ever break up, surprise. If we ever break up, and she tries to do that thing that a lot of ex-girlfriends try to do, like, his dick was so small, I could just be like, it triggered your gag reflex. How small could it be? I make a lot of jokes about this particular ex just because she's the most recent one, but in all seriousness, she was a lot better than other girlfriends that I had in the past. I had a girlfriend once who, just to put it bluntly, was completely fucking nuts. She had more issues than National Geographic. I had another girlfriend who was loud and anorexic, and I was constantly telling her to keep it down. And you know, being single for the first time in 6 years, it's interesting. I'm not saying relationships are bad by any means, because they're not. I'm just saying I kind of forgot what it was like to be single. You know, it's interesting. On the one hand, it's really nice to be able to focus on myself and sort of do my own thing. You know, pick up new interests and hobbies and just have some really profound moments of self-discovery. On the other hand, I managed to pull a muscle while masturbating the other day, so it's a little bit of give and take. You know, I've also learned, being single again, I've learned what kind of personality traits really mesh well with my own. And I've learned that I really need somebody who knows how to communicate. Especially somebody who's not afraid to make a claim to the food that's in the fridge. Like, a lot of you guys may not think this is a big deal, but you would not believe the number of times that I came home hungry from work and accidentally ruined someone's plans for the evening. I remember one of the last times this happened. Same girl, she's getting ready for work one morning. And she's in the kitchen, and she happens to notice that there's just enough ice cream in the freezer left for one more bowl. And she sees that, and she's like, oh yeah, I've had a rough week at work, I'm off tomorrow. When I come home, I'm destroying that ice cream. Would have been nice to know. She went off to work, and I was home alone all day. And I did my usual routine. I cleaned around the house, did some dishes, did some laundry, and I saw that ice cream. Hello. I thought, you know what? I deserve that. I'm going to eat that. And I did, and it was delicious. And she comes home a little while later, and she had a shitty day. Like, the thought of this ice cream was the only thing that got her through the entire day. And she gets out of her work clothes, gets into her comfy clothes, she's ready to go. She goes into the kitchen, and I just hear, you son of a bitch. Now, I have to take some responsibility here. When it came to eating the ice cream, I was free and clear. I was innocent. I'm not a mind reader. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what her plans were. However, I did not help myself any by leaving the empty container in the freezer. I hear a few of you, oh, like, that's where you really fucked up. Oh, she was pissed. She was freaking out. What the hell? You couldn't even leave the last bit of it just for me? You couldn't leave it for me? You couldn't even take 3 seconds to throw the container away? Say something! I'm sorry. I'm gay. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.